It is 5:34. I'm going to call this meeting to order. We'll start with introductions. I'll ask the board to introduce themselves, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maria Quesada, Public Relations for Brownsville PUB and Liaison. Good afternoon, everyone. Patricia Cavazos, BISD.
I'm Eliza Vasquez, Chairperson. I represent the commercial real estate industry for Brownsville.
Good afternoon, Miguel Angel Patiño. I work for Laboratory Corporation of America. I'm a nurse and I represent the healthcare industry.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sergio Martinez, and I work at UTRGV.
We have some distinguished guests here today. Would you like to introduce yourself? You.
Howdy, I'm Joseph Holman. I am the Vice Chair of the PUB Board and just as of yesterday, the President of the SRWA. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Good evening. I'm Mark Dombrowski. I am the Assistant General Manager and Chief Operating Officer. Started with BPUB last Monday. So I moved here from Austin.
Welcome aboard. Glad you're here.
Lynn Gilbert, CEO of the Utilities Board.
Do we have any guests here tonight?
Oh, we also have Ms. Constanza. She started here on the 2nd, and she's our Chief Administrative Officer.
Welcome aboard, Connie. Any guests that want to introduce themselves? Okay, we'll go on to the first order of business. Approve first 2023 minutes. Everyone has had a chance to read them. Do I have a motion to approve?
So
We have a first. Do I have a second?
The second.
Lady? So we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We can go on to old business. Lady, do you have any old business to discuss?
Yes, at our last meeting, we discussed, we had a question about the police station, on Rancho Viejo and 511. I know that crews went out there, Armando Garcia, contacted, and it was Hector Herrera, I'm sorry, and Jaime Estrada's team, went out there and addressed the concern of the customer.
I did speak to customer, this is gone through, and she was very happy with the progress. Apparently, they went out there quickly, and I know she told me that she was outside mowing her yard yesterday, and there was no more odor, sewer odor. So she and her neighbors are very happy. So I thank PUB, Jaime's group for addressing that so quickly. Appreciate that.
We also have an update on the service territory map, which Miguel is going to give us an early update during the presentation portion. But we have that update as well.
Good. Any other old business? Anybody? We'll go on to new business.
So because we remember during this year, we did have some votes come in for it, and the majority of the votes went to Chester Gonzalez.
And congratulations to Mr. Gonzalez for being the new member of PUBCAP.
And I will go and extend an invitation to the PUBCAP banquet so that he can join us there and do a meet and greet with everybody there. And speaking of the PUBCAP banquet, that's also set for August 16th. It will take place at the Brownsville Museum of Fine Arts. And we'll extend the invitation to our presenters, to our directors and board, and everyone's welcome to bring a guest as well. Also for directors.
It's always fun.
We're also going to be having probably some outgoing members. We do have a 2-year tenure, and so of any nominations from the panel. And so someone else, Marshall, come to submit a nomination for Ms. Marshall. And we also want to remind everybody that we'd like to have the panelists to be from different areas of the spectrum, different business areas in the city.
So how many openings are we going to have?
We might have two more.
Two more, okay. Thank you, Clady. If that's all the new business, we'll go on. Next item on our agenda is the Tenaska Equity Fund update.
Good afternoon, Monica Cavazos, Director of Finance. Y'all had, I had made a presentation to you all several months ago on Tenaska, and you had asked me to come back and give you some more financial related information pertaining to Tenaska, so that's what I'm here for today. So when we had the 5-year rate plan that was approved in 2012, there was a portion designated for the Brownsville Generating Station, the Tenaska project, and a portion of it that was directed for, intended for ongoing growth and O&M expenses. And so those electric base rate increases, we ran the numbers to see how much the rate increases generated in actual revenues, what the variance was, how much of that was attributed to the growth related portion of it, and how much was attributed to the Tenaska rate increases. These numbers have all been verified by an independent third party as well. So the 5-year rate increases, the Tenaska portion of it generated $809,414. Of that, per our bond ordinance, the covenants, 10% of our adjusted gross revenues go to the city of Brownsville. So the city received their 10% transfer, or $11,480,941. A total of $103,328,473 for other uses available to PUB. The chart at the bottom shows you the rate increases, the 5-year base rate increases, the portion of it that was allocated to O&M and ongoing growth, and then the portion that was for the bond issuance for the Tenaska project. It was a cumulative 36%, 14% for growth, and 22% for Tenaska. Of that 114 million, as we mentioned, 11,489,41 went to the city of Brownsville. We also set aside $29 million, which is known as the Tenaska Equity Fund. That was set aside to simulate the interest and the expenses during the construction phase of the Tenaska, the generating station project. Then the additional funds, the remaining funds of $74,328,473 all went into our bill reduction program. We had from March of 2016 all the way through November 2021, we had a bill reduction program where we supplemented a portion of the fuel and purchased energy charge to our customers. We charged them less than what it was costing us, and we supplemented the difference. So that $74,328,473 went into that bill subsidy program, bill reduction program. Sorry. The bill reduction program during that time period, I said 2016, it was actually 2013. From 2013, in 2013, we began with a very nominal amount of money just to smooth out some of the monthly fluctuations in the fuel purchased energy charges. So you see some smaller amounts. In 2016 is when we began the more aggressive bill reduction program, and we set the fuel and purchased energy charge at 2.952 cents for the period from 2016 all the way through 2021. During that time, from 2013 to 2023, we contributed to the customers, or we paid on behalf of our customers, $148,950,000 towards their electric bills to reduce the charge of the fuel and purchased energy. 74 million of that, 328,473, came from the Tenaska rates, but an additional $74,621,527, or almost a 1-for-1, came from other revenues, other sources at PUB. So we matched dollar for dollar plus the amounts that we collected from Tenaska with additional revenues. These were additional revenues that came from off-system sales and from multiple sources. So that program was in effect through October of 2021. We did continue some smaller amounts in 2022, and in the summer of 2022, the city commission approved a 10%, an 11% reduction in the base rates for half of that 22% that was for Tenaska. On December 1st of 22, the other 11% was also reduced, the base rates. So we no longer had those funds coming in to supplement. And so that's why you see that significant drop there in the rate stabilization. So that $29 million that we set aside from 2013 through 2016 stayed in the bank in our improvement fund. It was set aside and it was never touched. Our board determined not to use that money for any other purposes. And so that was when discussions began on refunding that Tenaska Equity Fund to our customers, because that was the remaining amount that we had not already given back to the customers or to the city. We also looked at what had the city received during that time. And so as an option, some of the city commissioners and some of our board members raised that issue. What about the city's $11 million? And so they looked at it as a potential pool of revenue of $40 million. The city still has not made any determinations of distributing their $11 million. And we have distributed all of our $29 million. The city has begun some preliminary discussions on options for possibly distributing their money, but no decisions have been made there. So that was what we had looked at as a potential revenue pool. Again, the $29 million has all been distributed. In addition to the $29 million, we earned, because that money was in our investment pool, in our portfolio, it was in the improvement fund, and per our bond covenants, the interest that is generated by those funds, those monies go back into the plant fund for operations. They do not remain with the improvement fund. And so those monies went back to PUB for operations and maintenance and for other expenses. But our board voluntarily determined that the interest generated on that $29 million from the time we began setting it aside in 2013 until we distributed it in May of 2023, our board voted to add that interest, which amounted to $116,746, less 10%, which went to the city of Brownsville, because the interest on investments is part of our gross revenues, adjusted gross revenues. And so the city is entitled to 10% of that. That left $2,355,071 of interest revenue on the $29 million, which our board, the board of directors, voted to add to the $29 million. And that became our new pool of money to be distributed to our customers. So we had $31,355,071 to distribute to what we call the Tenaska timeframe customers. So the timeframe when we set aside the $29 million from 2013 through 2016, if you were a customer during that time period, you were entitled to a refund. So there was a joint committee between the city of Brownsville and the PUB board that met and came up with some options. And then along with input from the PUB staff and some of the city, there was a plan that was developed on how to distribute these funds. So any customers who were still active, who had been active during the Tenaska timeframe, who were still active as of May 1st, 2023, they received a credit on their bill for the amount of their refund. And those credits were applied to their accounts on May the 8th. PUB and the city of Brownsville are both customers of the PUB electric system. And so as customers, they were each entitled to their own refunds as well. Both of those entities voted to pool their refunds and distribute those refunds equally to all of the active customers as of May 1st, 2023. That amounted to, so whether you're Walmart or HEB or an individual residential customer, every single customer who was still active on May 1st received $48.91. Those were also applied to the accounts on May the 8th. In addition, the customers who were no longer active, who had been active at any point from that 2013 timeframe, but who were no longer active as of May 1st, we had to issue a check to them. So we issued 26,467 refund checks. Just for a little bit of perspective, our accounts payable system, because most of our customers, most of our vendors, we pay them electronically through ACH and wire transfers. We only issue about 800 checks annually. So this was quite an undertaking for us to issue 26,467 checks in 1 week. So it was a significant event for us. And we began issuing those checks, printing and mailing the checks on May the 19th, and it took us 5 working days to distribute 26,000 checks, which was pretty phenomenal. And that was quite an undertaking for us. So again, sorry. Just to give you a little bit of so that we distributed the monies based on your actual electric consumption during that time period that we set aside those funds. So from April 2013 through September 2016, when we collected the 29 million, we determined how much kilowatt sales we had to all of our customers. We then took each individual's customer's billing for that period, what your consumption was, and divided that by the total of 4 billion kilowatts sold during that time period. That determined your percentage of the $31 million. So you can see we had residential customers, although we have significantly more residential customers, their refunds on average were a lot. Then these again are just averages based on customer class. So their refunds were significantly lower. The commercial customers obviously got more. And then, as I mentioned before, the PUB and COB, the COB contributed 918,000 and PUB 763,000. I went to a total of 71,000 customers. So some of those were the checks the 26,000 plus checks, plus the difference were active customers who received credits on their bill. And again, the checks that we issued and the refunds, the refunds that were issued went to 34,371 active customers. And each received $48.91. Those refunds totaled $1,681,019. So it was a significant undertaking. It's all been distributed now. We have seen a lot of checks. We did not anticipate a very high percentage of checks that would get cashed, because these are customers who left the system sometime between April of 2013 and May of 2023. And so we sent checks out to the last known addresses we had. Our marketing has done a very good job of trying to get the information out to the public as far as, if you've got a refund coming to you, please contact us, give us your new address. And so right now we've got about 45% of those checks, of those 26,000 checks we issued, about 45% of them have already cleared the bank. So that's good news. We've gotten about 4,300 checks back. So if anybody's listening, if anybody hears this recording later, please reach out to PUB. We do have our customer service number. We have a Tenaska Equity Fund Distribution email address that they can send information to. They can call our customer service. If you think you've got a check that you were owed and you haven't received it yet, then reach out to us. So we have quite a number of checks that are still kind of floating out there somewhere as well. We don't, they have not come back to us and they have not cleared the bank yet. But so far we've had very good results on how many checks almost half the checks have cleared the bank already. So that's good news. So I don't know if y'all have any questions, any other information, anything I didn't share that you've got?
Monica, I have a question. So what happens if someone who was a PUB customer is deceased, as an example, and then you send it to the address where they were, but they passed on, and then the family has a check? So do they call that number or
Yes.
customer service? And because I heard of a few scenarios about that, so I wanted to ask.
Yeah, there are many situations where either there was a divorce, there was a death, different situations, correct? And so, they can call customer service. I'll say the number out loud. It's 983-6121.
Okay.
956-983-6121. Or they can email tefinquiries@brownsville-pub.com. And so we do have, in customer service, they have procedures for those types of scenarios.
Okay.
Because we have on a normal routine business basis, we have occasionally credit balances owed to customers and those types of situations. And so they have their processes in place to handle those kind of scenarios, and they can help the customer.
Perfect. Thank you.
I actually had a friend that happened to her. Fortunately, she had a power of attorney for her mother, and so she was able to cash the check. Otherwise, I think it would have been a hassle. Mrs. Estrella has something?
That's what I was going to mention as well. Also, they reach out to their own bank or institution that they use. If they have some kind of power of attorney or executor over the state, they should be able to cash it, but they might need to speak with the bank, make sure that they have the right documentation or ID or whatever might be necessary for that. And in the more extended, if any, some of these checks able to get cashed, it will be turned over to the states, for unclaimed funds. So, of course, we want to make sure to get it in as many people's hands as possible, but in the event that it's not able to happen, that would be the event will start.
Thank you.
I do have a few questions. Estrella?
Just to add to that, yeah, so there's no director of customer services. So we have seen a lot of these questions. This is one of our most common questions actually that come into our call center. What we do with the checks is we issue it to the account holder. So it really is up to the banking institution to let you know what documents they need for them to be able to cash the check. We cannot change the name because we have an account holder name and that's who we owe the money to. Or that's who we're reimbursing the money to. So it is recommended that you contact the banking institution for what documentation, and they'll be able to guide you through cashing the check. Our cashier supervisor, Ruben, he's the one that's actually helping us with all of those return checks. We are seeing that the banks are allowing for the cashing of the checks for joint accounts. So again, it's up to the bank that you back with. We do recommend customers contact their bank directly. When they do contact customer service, that's the information that we're able to provide because we cannot change the names of those checks. Unfortunately.
I have a few questions. I guess the first one that comes to my mind is how long are those checks valid for?
Typically, our checks are void after 180 days, but we are going to honor these. I'm sorry, I take that back. Our checks are void after 90 days. On these particular checks, they would be voided after 180 days. But those funds don't go away. They will be kept here at PUB until such time as we have to escheat those funds to the state of Texas. And as they mentioned, even state of Texas, those funds are still the custody of whoever it was intended for. And so they can then reach out to the state of Texas. But that process, we will have to hold on to those funds in our bank for a period of, I believe, 3 years before we can then turn it over to the state. So even if the check has been voided, even if the funds will still be sitting there. And if after that 180 days, somebody contacts us and they have, the proper documentation, we will issue a new check for them for their refund.
Thinking about this Tenaska, I do have a few questions that I think if I'm thinking about them, I think other people are wondering the same thing. You hit one of them. I was wondering if the city of Brownsville had returned any portion of that, but you're saying that they're trying to decide that right now. Another one that I was thinking of is you mentioned all the time that you put into it. I'm sure it was a lot of man hours, the postage, what we spent.
So far, we've spent upwards of $80,000
Wow.
in that process to do the research, to print and mail the checks, all of that work that was done. And we still have a lot of staff time involved in the checks as they come back in the mail and tracking those and logging all of that information. All of that information is in the customer service software system. And so if somebody calls in, they can tell them what the check number was that was issued, when it was issued, how much, and if it's been returned to us or not. And so all of that is a lot of work. And so all in all, the cost so far is about $80,000.
Wow. The other question I had is, how did this affect our rating?
This in and of itself, we went through a process based on our bond covenants, our bond ordinance, section 33L of our bond ordinance. And our board voluntarily chose we were not comply with that. This was not that section of the bond ordinance has to do with the disposition of an asset, like of a physical asset, closing of a power plant or that type of thing. But our board voluntarily chose to follow that process. And so we had to hire an outside engineering consulting firm to do a study that distributing that $29 million would not affect the utility negatively. And as part of that as well, we had to go to the rating agencies and get a letter from them stating that distributing the 29 million would not cause them to lower our rating. And so as a result of us distributing the Tenaska funds, we did not get any rating downgrades.
Okay.
We did recently get a rating downgrade, but that was separate from the Tenaska transaction. That is more of a reflection of what's going on in general in the utility industry across the country, and the rating agencies are seeing with elevated gas prices and Winter Storm Uri in particular in Texas. And the rating agencies are a little more concerned about the utilities in the state. And so that was months after the distribution, after the period of time after the distribution of the Tenaska monies, and was not a result of the Tenaska distribution.
So the 80,000 that you just mentioned, that does not include the cost for those audits?
No, no, that does not include the cost. That was just to distribute the refunds to the customers. That does not include the engineering fees or the fees we paid the rating agencies. That was probably close to 100,000 by itself. The engineering firm and the rating agencies and those fees. And so, yeah, and all of those expenses are coming out of PUBs. None of that came out of any of the Tenaska monies.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Anybody else have any questions?
I do want to add a lot of these questions that are in our website. So I encourage for you guys to help us share the word in regards to all the information being on our website. Like I said, Ruben, he's our cashier supervisor. He is doing correctly all of the return checks. So he's the one that's guarding them. And if a customer comes in, either because of a destroyed check, they changed addresses, he'll be able to issue out those checks to those customers in person. So we are available. We have a process to assist with customers get those checks. We really want to get those out. So if somebody mentions, maybe I should have received a check, we encourage them to call, make an appointment, come and see us, and we'll be able to assist them.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Monica. Appreciate that.
Thank you all.
Next item on our agenda is the PUB service territory map.
Good evening, members of PUBCAP. My name is Miguel Callas, Digital Information Platforms Manager with PUB. There was a comment in a previous PUBCAP meeting requesting that we add our service territory maps to the BPUB website. We have, and I'm going to walk you through on where to find that on our website. So first, the search option on our website is probably the best to go option here. So if you just type service territory, you'll see that pop up right there. That's the quickest way to access that. We've included service territory maps for all our utilities, water, wastewater, and electric. So you'll be able to access them here. They're PDFs that show the different service territories for BPUB. Additionally, I think there was also a comment requesting that we add a address lookup feature on our website. Basically, if a customer types in their address, they'll be provided a listing of services that are available to them. So if you type in, just kind of typed in the PUB address here. You should be able to see it there, and it'll come up. If you do not have electric service, it'll say not available. It's just a quick way for customers to be able to determine whether or not BPUB services their address. So really, that's the update I have for you. Is there any questions on this?
I think that's great because I've had people ask me and I didn't know where to direct them.
Okay.
So
So yeah.
good job, Miguel.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions?
No, just again, thank you so much. I think this is a great way to showcase, the territory that PUB encompasses. I know I actually saw it the other day and I was navigating, I was like, oh, it was super interesting to see how far we extend and how much service we're able to provide around them.
Yeah, I mean, we're constantly making improvements. We have some improvements for our developer section of the website as well, our key account section. So we'll be providing some updates on that as well. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next item on our agenda is the 2023 Drinking Water Quality Report. Come on up.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jose Lechuga, and I'm with the Environmental Division, and I will be presenting the CCR presentation, or the Consumer Conference Report. The Consumer Conference Report, also known as the CCR, the requirements of this document and the importance of this document. So the TCQ, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, requires all community public water systems, such as us, the BPUB, to generate or to produce and make available a CCR to their customers, to our customers, by July 1st of every year. So every year, somewhere between mid-May and late June, we all should be receiving the CCR report. And so what is the CCR report? What is the importance of this document? Well, this document provides our customers with information about the quality of our drinking water in an easy to read format. So in other words, it pretty much summarizes all the information from all the testing and all the analytical data that we tested for on the previous calendar year, and in order to comply with federal and state regulations. And what requirements, because even though it is on an easy to read format, we have to verify and gather all the information that is required to be within the report. And how do we do this? The TCQ provides us with a checklist that once again, we need to follow to ensure that we are complying with all the required information in the report. And what are these elements? Well, the first one we have to include, and there is no order to appear in the report itself. But we need to include our contact information, and you will see throughout the report that we have our company name and logo, which is the Brownsville Public Utilities Board. We also have our public water system ID number as well. And we have throughout the document, we have the phone numbers, contact numbers for several departments in case you have any questions, any comments about the CCR. Then we have our water source information, which in this case, we have our main source of water is the Rio Grande River for our two surface water treatment plants, which is water plant number 1 and water plant number 2. And we also have a groundwater plant, which is the 20 groundwater wells located on the west side of Rancho Viejo town. And then we have to include a Spanish statement. We also have to include health language or messages in the document. And I'm going to go through the document so we can identify all these elements in the report. So this is just the checklist that we verify before we issue the report to our customers. And then as well, we have to include a fluoride health message if we were to violate or exceed a secondary maximum contaminant level, which in this case not violate that, so we will not see that message on the document. We also have to include all the tables for all the parameters that we sample for throughout the year, which are the contaminants table, the disinfectant residual tables, the total coliform rule tables, and in case we had any violation from the distribution system or from our water plants, we also have to include it in the CCR report. And then we also have a section for public participation opportunities. And before I move into the actual report, the CCR report, I would like to mention that PUB and Summer Regional, we tested for the following parameters, which is the microbial contaminants, which those are for bacteria, for viruses, for let's see, chemicals or parasites that we can find in the water. We also test for disinfection by products, which product that results from or disinfectant products becoming getting in contact with organic and inorganic matters. We also test for radioactive contaminants, inorganic contaminants, which in this case, inorganic can be the metals, could be the arsenic, fluoride, and we also test for secondary contaminants. And I'll do an explanation on the secondary contaminants in short. Then we have to, and in addition to all these contaminants that you will see, that we will find in the CSR report, we also tested for an additional 170 contaminants that were not detected in our water, like silver, like mercury. Those were not detected, and you will not see those in the water. So we can, I want to say that we can rest assured that we test our water a lot to make sure that it's safe to drink, and it has the highest available for our customers. And then we also have the Spanish statement here. There you go. And this is a requirement from the state as well. And we pretty much, it says that this report includes information, important information about the drinking water. And if you need the Spanish assistance, you can call to our general number. And this section right here, I think it's very important for us because it's a message from the PUB family to our customers, where we share the commitment that we have every year to provide high quality and safe water, and to address any issues that we might encounter throughout the year. Like in this case, we mentioned like the last year drought situation that we had, and we also mentioned what we are doing to address that. Then on the second table, we have the health messages. Like for instance, on the top part, it says that all drinking water, including bottled water, may have or may contain at least a small amounts of some sort of contaminants. However, these contaminants do not pose any health risk for our customers. And if you need more information about these potential health effects, you can contact EPA's hotline number, and get more detailed information about it. Or in case you want to get in contact with someone from PUB to discuss the results of our analytical data, you might as well can contact our general number and request to speak with someone from our analytical lab team. Then we have a message for our citizens, or senior citizens, our infants, or cancer patients, or people with HIV, AIDS, or other immune problems as well. Then we have information about the source water. We do an assessment, and you can follow that link in case you want to get more information about our source water. But as well, we mentioned in that section that our surface water or source water for our surface plants is coming from the Rio Grande River, and we have a groundwater source as well for the Summer Regional Water Authority, or SRWA. And then we also have information about the distribution system, which is the state water loss audit. This one is conducted every year, so we can identify any losses from our system due to either main breaks, main water breaks, or leaks, or we have to submit this information to the Texas Water Development Board, and this is on a yearly basis, and that's how we address any major concerns on the water losses. And as well, if you need more information about that audit report, you can call to that number 936684, and that's for our water treatment plant manager. Then we have information about the tables, and to me, this is like to give us a better idea how to understand what we're gonna see on the tables. Like it specifies that we collected the data in the 2022 unless otherwise notified, unless otherwise specified, I guess. And the reason is that because in addition to the monitoring requirements that we have, we also have a frequency that we have to follow according to the state. So some of the samples were tested in 2020 and 2020, 2019. Some other have samples every 9 years. So it specifies that as well. It mentioned that we tested for an additional 170 other contaminants that were not detected. Then it explains a little bit about each of the tables, like in this case, microbial contaminants. It says that it comes or are from viruses, bacteria, which may come from sewage treatment plants, septic systems, etc. Then we have the radioactive contaminants, which is usually naturally occurring in the environment, which sometimes it comes from the rocks or from the soils when our source water becomes in contact with those items. Then it also explains about the inorganic contaminants, talks about the pesticide and herbicides. And then the last two, those I think are very good, very good items. It gives us a way how to interpret, I guess, the units that we use in the report. Like it says 1 part per million is equivalent to 1 package of artificial sugar, I guess, sprinkled into 250 gallons. And parts per billion is the same package spreaded or sprinkled in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. So because some of the data, pretty much all the data is in parts per million or parts per billion. So it's very small amounts that we detect in our water. And that gives us a very good idea how to appreciate those units. Then we have the first table, which is the lead and copper rule sampling. This one is sampled, like I mentioned, it has a different frequency than the others. This one has to be monitored every 3 years. So the last time we tested for was in 2021. The next one will be in 2024. And we sample for lead and copper 50 sites. We collected 50 samples at 50 different sites that are representative from our distribution system. And none of these results exceeded or violated the action level. And the action level pretty much is our limit. For lead, we have 15 parts per billion, and we had 0.0 on the results. And for copper, we got a result of 0.336, but the action level is 1.3. So we were below those action levels. And on the right side of the results and the action levels, we have to include the likely source of these contaminants to be in the water. Like in this case, for the copper, we mentioned that it could be through corrosion of the household's plumbing system, erosion or of natural deposits, or leaching from wood preservatives. So before I move to the next table, I wanted that those 50 sites are not picked just because we want to pick some sites, or we pick sites close to the water plants so we can be in compliance. We had to provide the state with a list of those 50 sites plus another 50 plus 20 sites, so in total 120 sites that they have to review, verify, and give us the okay to collect samples at those sites. I mean, they, once again, they have to be representative from our distribution system. So we provided the list to the state, which is double the amount of what you require plus 20. In this case was 120. And they reviewed it and they told us, okay, yeah, those sites are okay, are approved for you to collect the lead and copper samples.
So they dictate what sites.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. They approve our sites, the whole 120 list, and then we pick which one we collect the sample. But on the run, we pick another sites too. Then we have the next table. This one, it has the definitions for all the abbreviations and acronyms that we use throughout the document. Like, I know it's kind of small to see, but on the top it says like MCL, maximum contaminant level, MCLG, which is the maximum contaminant level goal. We have the definition of NTU, which is a measure of turbidity. We have the picocuries per liter, which is a measure of radioactivity, and so on. And that as well is required by the state that we need to include those definitions in the document. Then we have the table for microbiological contaminants. Like in this case, we tested for total coliform and fecal coliform. On the total coliform, we had a 1.5% positive for this parameter. For this constituent, the limit is 5%, the MCL is the limit. But the total coliform by itself, it doesn't mean that we have, or there is any health issues associated with the total coliform. I mean, that could occur from natural events or from the environmental, like from leaves, from stormwater runoff. So what we have to do in this case, or that's why we test for fecal coliform, to make sure that the positive total coliforms that we get are not from fecal contamination. Like in this case, fecal coliform, we had a 0%, which is the limit. We didn't have any violations. So the total coliform, once again, was below the limit, and it was confirmed it was not from fecal contamination, cross-contamination. Then we have the radioactive contaminants. And we have the gross beta, and we have the radium, 226, I think, or 228. These levels, these parameters are very low to detect in the water because the unit that they use, the picocuries, the pico by itself is parts per trillion. So the other ones were part per billion, which it was like a swimming Olympic pool. This, I think, it will be like 10 swimming pools or 100 swimming pools. So these are very low to detect, but even though we did get some positive, and the gross beta, I think the result was 6.0. The MCL is 50, so we were way below the limit. The radium was 1.17, and the limit is 5, so we were below, we were in compliance as well. Then we have the inorganic contaminants, and this is for like heavy metals or arsenic, copper, cyanides, fluorides, and all the results that we got from last year testing, everything was in compliance with the MCL limits. And we were way below, like for instance, the arsenic result was 0.0045, the limit is 0.010. Copper as well, 0.01, the limit is 1.3. So we were way below our limits. And for the disinfection by products, these once again are the results from our disinfection process when these products get in contact with organic or inorganic matter. So we have the total 3 halomethanes, I think it says. The average that we got is 28.7. Limit was 80, so we were below that limit. The haloacetic acids as well is 14.5. The limit, I think, is 60. Then we have chloramines, the chlorine dioxide, chloride, and we were below all those limits. I mean, I would like to say that everyone can be sure that if we were to violate the limit, we will do every single effort to notify you immediately, because we have 24 hours to notify our customers when we have a violation in our drinking water. So either PR, they usually issue the boil water notice immediately through every possible mean, Facebook, radio, news, newspaper, etc. So all the data that we have this year and from previous year, everything was in compliance with TCQ. And well, in this case, these are actually from EPA. That's what it says, EPA National Primary Drinking Water Regulations. All these limits come from EPA. So we were in compliance with EPA regulations. Then we have the secondary and other constituents parameters. These are not enforceable limits, and these are not like required for us to sample for, but however, we're still doing it just to make sure that our water is with the highest quality possible. These limits, the secondary limits come from the state. We have to follow the state. The EPA has its own limits as well, but we have to follow the state. Like in this case, that's the rule. That's the Chapter 30, Texas Administrative Code 290. And those are the limits that we have to follow. These ones, once again, they're not for compliance purposes. These were developed for us as reference points as or like baseline as where we want our water to be more or less located as far as these constituents. So what these limits or these parameters does is they determine the odor, the color, and the taste of the water, pretty much. That's why those four. And then and last, we have on the last page of the report, we have the Samos regional tables. And once again, we test for fecal coliform. We had a 0%. The MCL is 0%. And so there was no fecal contamination in our water at all. Then we have the radioactive contaminants. We have a combined radium or radon and 1.5, the limit is 5, so we were below that. And as well for the inorganics and the disinfection byproducts, all the limits, the reported results were in compliance with the limits from the EPA. On the secondary, we have, I think it's the only one, the chloride, that we're a little bit above, but once again, those are not enforceable limits. And you can be within a reasonable range above those limits. And we submit all this data to the state, they review it. By July 1st, right after we completed the distribution with our customers, we have to submit this report to the state so they can review it as well and verify that we included all the information, all the tables, all the data. So they also review this information, and there were no deficiencies or non-compliance situations with the report or the data. And last but not least, I would like to mention that the TCQ has recognized and designated our public water system, BPUB, as a superior public water system since 1984. So what this means is that we are exceeding the standards for operating our water system and for the quality of the water of our drinking water. This designation can be removed at any time. They come because we're designated as a superior public water system. They come more often to do testing of our water. They come more often to check the pressure of our water system. They come every year to do an audit and investigation. And so every year we have excel, I guess, the requirements, the standards. And those standards are the efforts in protecting the public health, for ensuring reliable operator supply for our system customers, and the compliance of the regulatory requirements and environmental stewardship. Like in this case, we haven't had any microbiological violation in the last 2 years. And that's pretty much it. Talking about the drinking water watch and entering the number, if you go into the drinking water watch, you can see and enter our ID number. You will see a lot of sections where you can check for our point of contacts. You can check for the data that we have entered or the state have entered in the system. But as well, you can go into the fact sheet of our company. You'll see a lot of details. And right next to our name, you'll see the designation, the superior right there. And we verified that on May 22nd of this year. So that's pretty much it. Once again, I'm Jose Lechuga. You have any questions?
Thank you, Jose, and everybody at PUB for that superior rating.
I know.
That's awesome. I know it must be a lot of work.
Yes, of course.
Does anybody have any questions?
No, just a reminder that the CCR has gone out to all the customers. We sent it out, we sent it by May so that everyone can receive it by July 1st. Everybody has received it.
Yes, exactly.
Just a comment, I know I did the last tour, the water tour with Ryan, and I did meet with some of the lab technicians, and I was really impressed of how passionate they are about making sure they're testing the water. I learned a lot more about water that I did not know about. There's a lot of work that goes behind it. And until you go through that, see your infrastructure and see all the hard work that goes to keep our water clean, I feel a little guilty because, man, I really took for granted, how much how much work goes behind keeping our water clean, and gives me more confidence to drink it when I go home. So thank you for all that hard work. Thank you all.
Thank you. Team effort, like we said, always.
One comment, Jose.
Yes.
On these reports, I see that you're testing for viral loads. Are you testing for viral loads on the water? Like for virus, like I know other cities, they're doing on the sewage and the water, they're testing for COVID-19.
Well, to my knowledge, we start, yes.
Hi, we've actually partnered up with the Department of Health and a wastewater stream. And so what they've done is they're collecting samples on a monthly basis. And so they're testing for various different things. Last year we were contacted, we opened up, and so this is not on the water system, wastewater system stream. And so that way, I believe they changed depending on what various different things. They've checked in the past for polio, for monkeypox, or COVID, and things of that nature, and it's continuing on. I'm not sure if anybody else is here on the lab who's working with that. We sent them a little bit more of what we're doing with the University of Texas School of Public Health, I believe.
Hello, my name is Vicente Guerrero. With respect to that, what they're doing, they're monitoring different lift stations, collecting samples, and doing the analysis here in Brownsville. At the UT, the Houston, they have a building at the local UTB TSEA area, and that's where they're actually analyzing for those parameters. For drinking water, the only thing we do collect 120 different BACT samples, and we test for total coliform, and also if there's any positive, then we have to test for E. coli. And if we get a positive for E. coli, then there's an assessment that we need to do and try to figure out what is contributing to, I guess, that contaminant being present in our drinking water. Do you have any other questions regarding water quality, the tables?
Drug waste, meaning like legal and illegal drug waste, do we do something about it?
What was that? I didn't.
Drug waste, like pills, like
Pharmaceutical,
drugs.
Yeah. The way all these tables or the parameters are done, they're either primary drinking water standards or secondary drinking water standard. Every 5 years, we undergo what they call is unregulated contaminant monitoring. This in 2024, we're scheduled to doing additional monitoring for that. We're going to be focusing on what they call polyfluoroalkyl alkyl substances, PFAS. There's 29 substances that we're going to monitor. In addition, there's one metal, lithium. And it's a study. What they do is, if it's not rated, they look at those hazards and they want to get data to determine whether there's an additional either primary drinking water standard or secondary drinking water standard that needs to be developed in order to ensure there's no health-based. As far as pharmaceuticals, we don't test any pharmaceuticals. We do test basically a disinfection byproduct, like Mr. Lechuga said. That is a byproduct of the chlorination. We have to have chlorine in our water in order to kill off any microorganism to ensure that the water is safe to drink. Unfortunately, you add chemical to it, there's byproducts, and that's what we do. We monitor byproduct. The data collected in these tables, it's collected by the state. They subcontract a third party. They come in, it's sort of like a checks and balances. They come in and we get the results. We summarize the results and into the report. So that's a sort of a checks and balances. If there is any violations, once it's uploaded into the system, the state would flag it down and say, hey, you all having a problem? What's going on? What have you all done to try to resolve this issue? So we would know. Bacteriological, we do internally. Turbidity are done at the plants. So those are some of the parameters that we undertake, we do to include in this drinking water report. But pharmaceuticals, we don't test for pharmaceuticals.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Lechuga and Mr. Guerrero, thank
Yes.
you so much for all your hard work and the crew and everything. Because I know that the water has improved over the years from when we were growing up. So it's, y'all have done an amazing job. So congratulations and thank you.
It's
For
a,
your
the
work
water
for
plants,
everybody.
it's a, like Mr. Lechuga says, it's a team effort.
Yes. For all the.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On to the next item on our agenda is public comments. I believe we have someone here that would like to make comment. If you'll just introduce yourself, please.
Madam Chair, board members, administration, staff, and guests. I'm Michael Quantz with the Brownsville Society for the Performing Arts. It's my pleasure to be here, and the purpose of my being here is to introduce the Brownsville Society for the Performing Arts, if you don't already know us, and to also talk a little bit about the support that PUB has given the Brownsville Society for the Performing Arts. And if I can go to a website on YouTube, I can show you some of the results. Oh, yes, thank you. I can show you some of the results of that support that has had a direct impact on what we've been able to do for Brownsville in terms of performing arts events. And the types of performing arts events that we bring, we consider them life-changing because people have told us that they are. So we take that as a very positive data point. Thank you, sir. And I'll show you some of that information as represented in our YouTube channel. You'll excuse the first visage there. But you'll also see a familiar face here. And this was part of the public service that our radio station KXIQ 105.1 on your FM dial. I know a lot of us don't listen to radio. except when we're in the car. But it's a great place to listen to this radio station. It is a fabulous mix. It's hard to tell what we're going to play. In fact, most days we don't know what we're going to play unless it's a standard program. Everything from Freddie Fender to Elvis to Carlos Gardel to Bach, and everything you could possibly imagine. Willie Nelson too. It's a little too much for my taste, but I'm not in charge of that. So what we have done has been directly related to the foundational support that PUB has given us. That support has allowed us to actually hire our first full-time staff person in the near 30-year history of the Brownsville Society for the Performing Arts. So we now have a regular podcast hosted by the magnificent Dr. W.F. Strong, who has been in radio some 35 plus years. And we are about to start our new season of podcasts. Along with that, I think this is a great example of public service announcements. This, in fact, was the special podcast that we held with regard to the Tenaska Fund. So we were able to broadcast this on local radio, some 200,000 listeners on our radio station, and create scenarios and answer questions. And by the way, this is still obviously up on the YouTube channel, so if you would like to link to that for additional information regarding the Tenaska project, then please feel free to do so. Along with this, we have all the different events that we normally do. And I'll play just a snippet of this. Do we have audio also, sir? It's my only superpower to destroy technology. We don't have the audio? Okay. That's fine. Thank you. I appreciate it. But you can see this video. You can go to our YouTube channel. You can go to our website also. And you'll also note that we're doing battle with a fraudulent website right now. This is our old domain name. If you go to this one, you'll get our actual website. So this is a new experience for us. I guess it's part of the price of business online is dealing with fraudulent purposes. Apparently, this one is from Shanghai. So we're in the international waters now. But this will give you an idea of our events that are directly related to BPUB support. You'll see that we acknowledge our sponsors both on the website and all our written creatives, as well as with PSA announcements. We've done some 15, 16 PSA announcements over the last year, having everything to do with weather preparedness to street closures and utility repairs. We also open this up for our radio station for other Brownsville community entities to take advantage of these PSAs, and we're enlarging that. We're creating programming. West Strong's from Texas. If you haven't heard those, they're amazing. Plus our webcasts and podcasts. And our plan is to go to streaming in January. And again, without the support of PUB, we wouldn't be anywhere close to where we have come or where we are planning to go to. So it is my pleasure to kind of tell you a little bit about that success. And I'm also here to answer any questions at any time. You can contact me through the Brownsville Society for the Performing Arts webpage, or you can also find me at the university in the School of Music. I've had a very long career in higher education and education in Brownsville. Some would say overlong, but I'm also available through contact that way.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Dr. Quantz.
So are you affiliated with Roca or Hilda Ledesma?
Only kind of indirectly. We try and support their program every opportunity. We hold clinics there. We open it up to the public, especially the Buena Vida neighborhood. And it was actually the whole Performing Arts Academy was the brainchild of the late great George Ramirez, who was our longtime president and principal patron at Brownsville Society. Yeah. If it weren't for his 9-year effort, almost 10-year effort, that place would have never happened.
I just have one comment, and it's more of a thank you to PUB for creating a system to support nonprofits of this nature. You know, PUB does a lot of work in supporting different organizations across Brownsville, and this is one of them. And I'm glad to see that your work is growing and excelling, and look forward to seeing more of these livelihoods and participating in them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? If not, I just wanted to take a few minutes to say that this is our last PUBCAP meeting for our year, and I've truly enjoyed holding the position of chairperson. Marilyn, you inherited a great group of people. Everybody has been so professional, so helpful, so knowledgeable in their areas, their respective areas. So I thank all the directors and employees of PUB for this last year. I've learned so much, I've grown, met a lot of great people. And thank you to the other board members for your hard work and your time and efforts for towards PUBCAP. So our next meeting, we're not going to have a meeting in August. We'll have our banquet. Lady said, and then the next meeting will be September the 20th.
Yes.
Anything else anybody wants to add?
PUBCAP banquet again is set for August 16th, which is the third Wednesday of the month. And we do have it set again at the Brownsville Museum of Fine Arts. We are going to invite our directors, our board, all of our presenters that we've had here at PUBCAP, and everybody who's helped us put these meetings together. And so we're going to see maybe 2 of our panelists leave. And we are going to hopefully see our new panelist join us at the banquet as well. Thank you so much for all your hard work, Eliza. You've done great. And to all the panelists for joining us here throughout the year. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Okay, it's 6:47, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. We need a motion to convene. Thank you, Ryan.
So moved.
Second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yes.
¿Ya tengo signs?
We have our.
¿Los de-
Oh, okay.